Nissan, then the Corvette in 5th place, and alongside the Corvette on row 3, that Lamborghini driven by Dominic Schwager. The two Maseratis, though, were absolutely sensational in qualifying. This could be their race to lose, as the safety car now peels away, and Mikel Bartels alongside him, Miguel Ramos. The lights go green, and we can go racing, and there is absolutely nothing between the two Maseratis, but riding on board with the Nissan, he's pulling up alongside the man in 2nd place. It's going to be Mikel Bartels into the 1st corner, but the Nissan gets into 2nd place, and then the Aston Martin in 3rd, and already the two Maseratis are split, with the 2nd Maserati down into 4th place. The rolling start there, absolutely beautifully executed by the Nissan.
And here's car number 33, the 33 Maserati coming down the inside to turn 3, and the Nissan's also having a look into turn 3 on the race leader, but not close enough.
Sensational start then by the Nissan, and that sumo power Nissan with Peter Dumbrek at the wheel, stalking the Maserati of Mikel Bartels. Maserati from Nissan, from Aston Martin, as we now ride on board with the car number 33, that Lamborghini of Alfred Hegel. Down at the back, under braking, just jockeying for position. Already one of the Lamborghinis has lost places at the start.
Yeah, that Lamborghini obviously had a bad start. It's gone right to the back. This track is notoriously difficult for overtaking, and the drivers need to make sure that they just don't get too ambitious and end up tagging someone and causing damage to your car.
Ford GT of Thomas Much just making a little bit of a move there, and that car 41, Renault Krippens in the other Ford GT, as we're back riding on board once again with Thomas Hager.
And Mikel Bartels is actually extending that lead at the front quite a bit. You can visibly see him pulling away from the sumo-powered Nissan of Peter Dumbrek.
Back with Alfred Hager, and now you can see this long climb up towards the very tight chicane here, turns 13 and turn 11 and 12. And back on the power as soon as you can feel the traction, as soon as you've got the adhesion, getting on the power once again. And look at the gap that the Maserati is pulling out here over the Nissan, which is being challenged now by Darren Turner in that Aston Martin.
Yeah, Darren's going to be quite keen to try and get past the Nissan. You know, it's their home race with Thomas Enger in the car coming in next, and he knows if he can get past that Nissan, he should be able to pull away quite a bit.
Already 1.9 seconds the gap between our leader, the Maserati, piloted by Mikel Bartels, and the 2nd place man, the Nissan of Peter Dumbrek. As round that first turn, a line astern, you have the Aston Martin followed by the Corvette. Out in front though, that Vitaphone Maserati making mincemeat of the opposition, but the Maserati too, really sluggish starters. Look at this, the Aston Martin Hexus just moves out, tries to get past the Ford GT, going into that left-hander, but Thomas Much just slams the door. How long though can he keep that door closed? Is the Aston stalking him?
That'd be quite frustrating now for Miguel Ramos in the 2nd Maserati. There he is in the shot, just going out of shot there. His car has got the pace to be right at the front, but now he's bottled up behind the Lamborghini.
Riding on board now with the Hexus Aston Martin, Stefan Sarazan, man competing in his 3rd World Championship, FIA World Championship, rally driving of course.
Didn't know he played football as well.
I tell you what, he was playing keepy uppy out the back, and he was sensational. But the only man I know of to compete in 3 FIA World Championships, and making his debut in this GT1 World Championship this weekend here in Brno.
Sarazan's a very good driver, and I expect him to try and make some places, because he did not have good qualifying. I expected him to be much higher up in qualifying. They have got the pace to move forward if they can overtake, and that's a big problem here, because if you can't overtake, then what do you do? You know, some of these cars which are a bit marginal tyre wear, I suspect that they're going to sit back.
Right, problem right down at the back, the number 25 Lamborghini, Jan Danis, local man, born in Slovakia, having a bit of a problem way down the field.
Yeah, I don't know if that was from contact or he just got a bit excited, this being so close to his hometown, and just made a mistake and went off.
Now the Corvette, car number 11, really stalking for 5th place here, the Maserati ahead of him, and now switching down towards the inside. Just as the door slammed on him, that Corvette car number 11 that started on the 3rd row. Mike Heseman switching from Phoenix to Madcrock Racing this weekend, but pressurising that Lamborghini, that Maserati I should say.
And Thomas Much is also stalking. He's also looking very closely. If this Corvette makes any small mistake, you can expect that Ford GT to be right through and trying to get further up as well.
Yeah, riding in the slipstream, the Ford GT, inch for inch, millimetre for millimetre, as they now just drop down the hill towards turn 5. Tricky corner under braking, and if we do get some rain here, expect a few spills at this particular turn, and it is getting darker and darker here in Brno. Bit of sunshine away to our right, around about 10 kilometres away, but it's all being blown off course and off this track by the stiff breeze that's bringing the clouds in. And still that Ford GT right up the back of the rear wing of that Corvette. We can actually see the Ford GP now as we ride on board the Aston Martin Hexus.
Look how close that gear stick is to the steering wheel. They put that gear stick nice and tall so that you don't have to take your hand so far away from the steering wheel to change gears. But through turn 10 there, a little bit of opposite lock on the exit, but otherwise looking quite well balanced.
Our leader, meanwhile, 2.9 seconds clear after 2 laps. Absolutely stunning, and could win this race at a canter, but of course, pit stop to come, and 54 minutes of action on the track.
It's going to be at least another 20 minutes before we see the pit stop window open. So Maserati crosses past our commentary booth to start another lap, closely followed, well, not so closely followed, by the Nissan and the Aston, as the rest of the field file through too.
And Romain Grosjean watches on from the Matek garage. All smiles now, but give it another 10 minutes, he's going to start getting tense.
Yeah, and I can't wait actually for Grosjean to get into the car, because as we saw in Abu Dhabi, he was a very aggressive driver, and it'd be interesting to see if he can repeat that form and climb up the field. At the moment, his teammate Thomas Much has made a couple places up and is currently lying in 8th position.
And we ride on board with Peter Dunbrek, and this is the time that he's losing out to Michael Bartels in that lead Maserati. About 1.5 seconds over the course of the last 2 laps. Just can't keep with the pace. Beautifully set up, that Maserati, beautifully balanced here.
It's great onboard shots here. He's looking very calm and relaxed. Now, in the past, we'd be saying these guys would be looking after the tyres a lot because it used to be an endurance race, but now it's a sprint race, of course, this year. New for this year, it's only a 1 hour race, and these guys only have to go half an hour, 25 minutes, 35 minutes before they come in, change drivers and tyres. So effectively, these drivers are pushing flat out. Every lap should be like a qualifying lap right now.
And I did wonder if Darren Turner was just losing a bit of time to Peter Dunbrek, and he has done over the past couple of laps. But you know what, on this lap, I think Darren Turner's found a bit of pace from somewhere, and he's closing up on Peter Dunbrek, and closing up mightily fast at the moment by, well, at least 1/10 of a second over the course of the first 2 sectors. So we'll keep an eye on that. As down at Magcrop, Mika Salo keeps an eye on his teammate.
It must be frustrating for Mika Salo. His teammates are at the back of the grid at the moment, but back of the pack. But we know when Mika gets in the car, he's a hard charger, and he'll be making some places up as soon as he can.
Yeah, Purdy Kuzmanen, 67 years of young. Mika Salo very much the driving force of that particular team. As back on board with Alfred Hager we go. Really fighting it round that final right-hander. Up ahead of him, 4.7 seconds, the gap now between first and second. The Maserati out in front, this Maserati down in 6th place, and now making his way. It's a hairpin to all intents and purposes, but they take it at around about 90 miles an hour. As look at this, the Nissan making a move on the Ford GT round that same hairpin. Oh, and they touch, and they bang as they go through that right-hander. And has the Nissan come off best here? Inside line for the Ford GT. Let's just have a look. There's another Ford GT trying to get in on the act as well. This is cracking stuff now as they go into the left-hander. 2 Fords, 1 Nissan, goes around the outside of the Nissan, moves up a couple of places.
That's a good move by Jamie Campbell-Walter in that Nissan. They had a terrible qualifying earlier today, and it's not where they should be, and it's good to see them making places now.
I just wonder what's happened to Maxime Martin in that car number 40, the middle of that 3 there. Started 5th on the grid and now running down in 16th place. Just lost quite a bit of time over the course of the first few laps, whilst Jamie Campbell-Walter has been making the time up in the Nissan.
Yeah, just struggling for pace. Maxime Martin's teammate Bas Landers did a really good job in Q2 and was very quick, but obviously did not manage to take part in Q3, and they're just going backwards. Maybe that lack of running in Q3 has hurt them, and they're just getting to grips still with the circuit. But yeah, good job by the Nissan. Don't forget Jamie Campbell-Walter and Warren Hughes are carrying 40 kilograms of extra weight. Sorry, make that 30 kilograms of extra weight from winning the last race at Silverstone.
Yeah, the success ballast that is placed upon these cars as a handicap system. So Hezemans from Hager, from Alleman out in front. Then we have Corvette, Lamborghini making their way through the field.
Yeah, these standings you're looking at are the...
That wasn't quite the top three, I must admit. We're just looking through it there. The top three, still Bartel's, Michael Bartel's way out in front by 5.8 seconds.
Thomas Much in the Ford GT, there in 8th position. He's still looking quite racy, and he's trying to get closer to that Corvette. I do believe that car has the pace of that Corvette if you can just find a way through. But all of these cars have actually been held up by the Lamborghini in 4th position, which is allowing the first top three to kind of streak away at the moment.
Dominic Schwager in that Lamborghini Murcielago 670 RSV, and forming something of a train at the head of quite a few carriages. All a little twitchy, the Ford GT under braking there with the Aston, the number 9 Aston, Stefan Sarazan, that we can ride on there waiting to take advantage. We ride on board into what they call the stadium complex here, with a big grassy banks where you can stand at the top and see quite a bit of this track. A very good vantage point for the spectators.
This circuit is actually a lot of medium length straights here at Brno, which makes it very difficult to get a toe and try and overtake someone, as the Aston had a small look down the inside of the Nissan in 2nd place.
I told you Darren Turner was gaining, and now we can see it with our naked eye. He was about 7/10 behind a couple of laps ago. Now he's about 7 meters behind. That Nissan is going to be pushed, if he's not careful, all the way up the hill.
Yeah, it is possible to overtake you, but as I was saying, because the straights are not so long, you got to kind of take a dive down the inside of someone through one of the slow corners, which often means you're going to have to rub paint with your competitors.
Nothing wrong with that. Plenty of paint on these cars to rub off. And I just wonder, is Darren Turner going to be able to get a good toe and get in the slipstream of this Nissan down the main straight? Look at that, absolutely rock solid behind the Nissan. Is he going to be close enough under braking into this hairpin? Probably not on this occasion, but he's there or thereabouts, and the gap is only half a second between the Nissan in 2nd place and the Aston Martin in 3rd. 6.9 seconds the gap from Peter Dumbrek up to the Maserati that's currently leading. That is a huge gap, and we're only on lap 6.
Yeah, they're going to be difficult to stop today. Maybe if the Aston can get by the Nissan, maybe it can start to look to close down the gap to the Maserati in 1st place.
Huge big diffusers on the backs of these GT cars. So does the turbulence affect the car running behind?
These cars do generate quite a bit of downforce, but as a ratio to mechanical grip, there's still a lot of mechanical grip. As one of the Nissans go down the inside, Ford GT.
As the number 40 Mark VDS Racing Team, Maxime Martin, trying to make his way back up the field once again and getting past Max Nielsen. Sorry, getting past Henri Moser.
That's a good move there, managed to go around the outside. But back to what we were saying, you will get a bit of turbulence if you get too close, but it's not too bad because these cars generate mostly a lot of mechanical grip. So, and anyway, it's mostly medium speed corners at Brno. I don't anticipate it following a car closely to be a problem.
So 14 minutes nearly of this race has passed. Don't forget, the pit stop window opens at 25 minutes and it shuts at 35 minutes. So there's a 10-minute window where the tyres have to be changed and the drivers have to be swapped over. And you've got to turn your engine off because a few of the GT3 cars came a cropper with that one as well. And 2 mechanics change all the tyres. So it's a race for the drivers to swap around and for the mechanics to get going as well, as we focus on this battle for 16th and for 17th place between Nissan and the Ford, and it's been a cracking battle now for a couple of laps. Car number 41 that you can see there in the front of it all, Renault Kuppens, the Belgian driver. After him comes Henri Moser, the Austrian, who won't mind a hill or two, and just behind them it's the car number 40, Maxime Martin, taking duties for the first stint.
Yeah, Moser's trying to show his nose a bit to the Ford GT in front, trying to unsettle him so that hopefully he can make a mistake. If he does make a mistake, that Nissan's going to be through in a flash.
And then here comes that Nissan now, pulling out to the right-hand side. This is like shelling peas, quite frankly, the easiest overtaking move you have ever seen here at Brno, as the Nissan just powers its way into turn 1, leaving the Ford GT standing.
Yeah, those Nissans have been very good in a straight line. I'm quite surprised. Obviously got a good motor in them, because they actually generate quite a bit of drag because they've got a very large frontal area. You can see the frontal area when you look at the front of the car compared to the other cars. It's got quite a tall roof. But obviously they've done a great job with the motor, with that drivetrain, and it's been quick down the straights today.
600 brake horsepower, the maximum allowed according to the 2010 regulation. The VK56DE engine in that Nissan working wonders down the main straight.
I was talking to the team earlier, and they said they're actually very happy with the torque figures as well. So obviously a good all-round power curve. As look at the gap now between the Maserati who's just gone out of the picture to the man in second, the other Nissan, the sumo-powered Nissan.
Well, Peter Dumbrek just can't see the Maserati going up the hill. It's quite sensational. That Maserati MC12 car, the V12 engine, 540 maximum horsepower. Scintillating though, great downforce on this track, very well configured for it.
Yeah, I mean the Maserati just doesn't have any weaknesses, you know. It's won the championship the last couple of years running, and they just, you know, have a very well sorted car, very sorted pairing of drivers, and you know, they're just doing a fantastic job.
They certainly are. Now let's focus on the Aston Martin and Nissan battle here between Dumbrek and Turner. Last couple of laps, Darren Turner started to gain time once again and close down that gap, but he just can't get close enough. There's his teammate, Thomas Enger. I'm sure itching to get out on the track in front of his home fans and hoping that maybe in the pit stops, a bit of smart work by the crew means that Aston Martin can leapfrog the Nissan, because on the track at the moment just doesn't seem to be able to get the horsepower advantage or get the speed where he needs it the most.
Yeah, don't forget the Nissan and the Maserati have a big heritage in GT racing, and you can expect this car's pit stop to be perfect, as well as the Maserati's pit stop to be perfect. The Nissans, however, are a new car for this year, and for both teams, it's only the second race with the car, so their pit stops might not be quite as quick as the established teams, just because they're getting used to working with a new car.
That battle for 18th and 19th between Max Nielsen in the Nissan and Thomas Jäger of Germany. There you can see him there in the allinkle.com Lamborghini. You can see a huge amount of rubber already, marbles coming off these Michelin tyres, these soft compound Michelin tyres. Two Ford GTs running very close together now that the Nissan has left them behind.
Left them for dead, really. It's gone, hasn't it?
And out up front, 8.1 seconds. The gap now between the lead Maserati of Bartels and Peter Dumbrek running in second place. The other Maserati that started on the front row, Miguel Ramos, down in 5th at the moment. And then we have Corvette, Ford and Aston Martin. Stefan Sarazan, 18 seconds off the pace in 9th place at the moment, ahead of another Aston Martin, the Corvette, the meat in the sandwich. Christopher Nygaard in the other Maserati. Then we have Maserati, Nissan, and actually Jamie Campbell-Walter making his way up through the field at the moment. The car that started on the 11th row, those Silverstone winners, now making their way up to 14th place. So from 21st, they're doing the business. They're coming through the field and finding more grip in the race than they found in qualifying.
Yeah, that's good to see, especially with the weight penalty, that they can still move up quite a bit.
Mark Henrici, we were just watching there, the Corvettes, and so close together, these cars running down the field. And just looking to the back of it now, the Lamborghini and the Nissan, and this could be Jamie Campbell-Walter. It is, moving his way down onto the inside at this hairpin. Oh, and there's contact, and he forces his way past there, the Maserati, and that was absolute brute strength and muscle, and the sumo wrestler flexing his powers.
Yeah, that was a straight drag down to the turn 1, and really, you could say that Jamie Campbell tapped him, but really the Maserati should have given him a bit of room. He knew that Campbell was there, and should perhaps have just left the car's width, and then there might not have been contact. But nevertheless, the Nissan's through, the quicker car's through, and let's see who's next on the menu.
Yeah, quite. Up into 13th place now. Tried to slam the door, the Maserati really. Trouble is, the foot was and the leg was already through that door, and there was no way that Nissan was going to concede there. If he did, he was either going to fall way back or be on the grass.
Yeah, they don't work so well on the grass.
No,
so.
it's funny that. Off-roading, not a good idea.
It's a great shot here of the other Aston Martin, car number 10, who's down currently in 10th position. It's sandwiched right now.
Clivio Picconi down in 10th position.
Following his teammate, Stefan Sarazan, and the other Aston Martin. What's the number 9?
We can ride on board with that car number 10 as well. You can see there in 10th place, 21 seconds off our current race leader. This on lap 9, but losing time to the Aston ahead of him in 9th.
Looks nice and clean there. Just making sure that there's no problems with the car. Everything seems to be working smoothly. There's 40 minutes to go in this race. The pit lane will open in 5 minutes time, and we could see the start of the pit stops.
And I just wonder if we're not going to see this battle resolved in the pit stop between Darren Turner in the Aston Martin and Peter Dumbreck in the Sumo Nissan, if it's not going to be by the time their teammates jump in, places swapped and sorted around, because only 0.3 of a second between the pair of them here. This is a great old ding-dong scrap, and it's been going on right from the outset when that Nissan and the Aston forced their way through and past the second of the Maseratis.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the team's on the radio to tell Darren, don't worry about trying to make a risky move, because the team know they're very strong in the pit stops, and they probably reckon they'd have a better chance of getting through in the pit stops than trying to take a wild dive down the inside.
Thomas Enger will be the man taking over in the Aston Martin, and it'll be Michael Crum who will take over in the Nissan. And what are they doing? Jogging on the spot, bit of shadow boxing in the garage, trying to get into the zone.
Yeah, at this point, you know, they start to get very quiet. You know, they're really relaxed and happy and joking. At this point, they start getting a bit quiet. They start perhaps put on their helmet and gloves and stuff, and just kind of find a little quiet time, because it's nice actually. Once you're in the pit, you're surrounded with people. When you put your helmet on, people know to leave you alone. And of course, if anyone comes to talk to you, you can't hear them because you've got the earplugs in.
Sorry? Now the Aston Martin, 0.3 of a second on the previous lap, it closed the advantage. Could the Nissan, starting to be wearing its tyres a little bit, could it be suffering? Certainly on those rear tyres, no traction control, and getting out of these corners, you've got to start preserving your tyres as well. As the wet stand by, still the dark grey clouds hover overhead, but as yet no rain. Let's just watch this battle as they come into the final chicane, the left and then the right before the main straight, and the car's accelerating to about 160 miles an hour in 6th gear down this main straight, and just through that chicane the Aston not quite close enough, but he might just move over to the right hand side. Sadly we're not going to see that. Darren Turner to let Peter Dumbreck know he's there, although to be fair Dumbreck should know because Darren Turner's been there for a while.
Yeah, and it's quite right to talk about tyre wear, because although this is a sprint race, the Aston's a very settled car. They're both front engine cars, but I anticipate the Aston's should be a lot better on the tyres. This one's still a new car. They're still playing around with the setup. I wouldn't be surprised if they're starting to abuse that front left tyre, especially through the turn 1, that corner you just saw these cars go through. It's a very quick corner, and if you have a little bit of understeer, you will destroy that front left tyre.
Just a little bit of information for you. Bert Longin, the Belgian driver, has been shown the black and white flag, has been given a bit of a slap on the wrist and a bit of a reprimand from the race director for what I'm not quite sure. But the black and white flag goes out. We don't often see that being shown, do we?
Yeah, just a warning. Yeah, just a warning, perhaps for closing the door on the Nissan when they had that contact. So, yeah, it's interesting. I've never seen a warning for a defending move. I've seen a warning for an attacking move, but never for defending.
Well, didn't Lewis Hamilton get a black and white flag for his weaving in Malaysia? That was defending.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's serious defending. I'm talking about, you know, contact.
I should ask you what you think about that, to be honest. But maybe we'll do that off air and save and broadcast the results tomorrow. Still causing quite a stir in the F1 paddock as we watch there the two Aston Martins, and down at Hexus, the crew getting ready for their job. And if GT racing isn't a team sport, well, I might be sadly mistaken on that one, because your crew can win or lose you a place, especially if you happen to be in the close battle that Darren Turner and Peter Dumbreck find themselves in at the moment. Yeah,
it's absolutely a team sport. A lot of drivers get a lot of recognition because they're the ones in the spotlight, but it's really a team sport, and there's no... That's why whenever the drivers win, the first people they thank are the team, because they know how hard they work, you know. And that's why I love racing, because you work hard, you see results on the track straight away. As there's Thomas Enger getting ready for his pit stop. Darren Turner should be coming in soon.
Boy, do these guys look focused in the garage at the moment. Gloves on, helmets on, hands devices fitted as well. And they're the two Aston Martins currently running 9th and 10th place, car number 9 and car number 10. And there's going to be a couple of scraps here decided in the pit stops. I really think that there is as we approach that pit stop window.
The second Maserati just now set their fastest lap of the race just now. So obviously there does seem to be a bit of pace from that car.
Just got off to a horrible start, really.
Yeah, but I bet they'll be bringing that car in as soon as this pit stop window opens. It should open at the next lap because Enrique Bernoldi, when he gets in that car, should be a little bit quicker.
Look how the Corvette had been catching for lap 12, lap 11 onto that Maserati and making up the time that he lost really on lap 10, as into the pits comes, with the pit stop window now open, our first car. It's the Mad Croc Racing of Pertti Kiesmanen. Not surprised, Mika Salo will want to get out there as soon as he possibly can.
Yeah, Mika Salo, XF Formula 1 driver with Toyota and Ferrari, stunningly quick. It was very quick in qualifying today, this morning.
It's the back markers that are coming in first as we ride on board this Aston Martin Hexus. Jan Danis in the Lamborghini Murcielago not having the best of opening stints there. He'll be handing on to Frank Caselli in just a few moments' time as he makes his way down the pit lane and down at Mad Croc. How fast does a 67-year-old man get out of a Corvette? Well, we shall see. I think he's already out of the car. Yes, he is. And Mika Salo in there. Now, the two mechanics changing the tyres there. Only two mechanics are allowed to buzz around changing those tyres whilst the drivers sort themselves out with their belts. And interestingly, as we watch two Aston Martins here coming into the pits and soon to pass the Mad Croc Racing garage is the Aston Martin of Darren Turner. So Thomas Enger is going to be coming out very quickly indeed as Mika Salo almost collects a Lamborghini coming out of the pit lane.
Hopefully we'll see the Aston Martin pit stop, and we are seeing it. These guys are so quick. These two guys, the two mechanics running around to do the pit stop. You can see that they don't have air boom. They actually have air. The air gun is operated by a cylinder on the back of the mechanic's back. So even though it's heavy, he can maneuver around quicker.
It's like two scuba divers doing tyre changing here.
Yeah, bit quick.
Also in, Thomas Mutsch, so Romain Grosjean will be taking over that Ford GT. Whoa, and out goes the Aston Martin. Gets a slap on the roof there from the mechanic. Lollipop still down on that Ford GT car as the mechanics just changed the rear right tyre. As Darren Turner comes out ahead, the other Matek Ford GT, and back out onto the track again. Darren Turner coming out, Thomas Enger coming out. Darren Turner's work in this race is done. We're not quite at half distance, but already seeing quite a few pit stops being made.
It'll be interesting to see what sort of lap times he could do.
And that's the second Maserati just coming out there behind Romain Grosjean. Enrique Bernoldi, former Formula 1 driver, two former Formula 1 drivers, one from the past and one from the not-so-distant past. And Bernoldi having to slam on his brakes, I think, there.
Yeah, uncharacteristically, the Maserati had a bad pit stop, and the Ford GT was able to leapfrog them in the pit lane. So this can be interesting because these are two drivers I want to watch in the second stint. Bernoldi's very exciting, and of course, we saw from the first round how Romain Grosjean is very good, especially under the brakes, and it'll be interesting to see what sort of lap times he can do in that Ford GT.
It was such an important first round as well for Romain Grosjean after all his troubles at Renault last year. Teammate to Fernando Alonso and just didn't get to grips with Formula 1. Here's a man, GP2 Asia winner, of course, has been prolific on the track in the Junior Series, to now switch series and come in with a race win right at the start. It's Bernoldi there, sliding round the left-hander. I think important for his confidence that he got that win in the desert of Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, and look, he seems to be pulling away. This Maserati is a very quick car. Very, very quick. I mean, the other sister one is leading the race, but that's interesting to see the Ford is pulling away a little bit at this stage.
So, car number 38, Dominic Schwager, makes way for Nicky Pastorelli in the all-Inkel Lamborghini.
Interesting to see what's going to happen with this battle for second place. That's the battle I'm interested in, because Enger's just set his fastest split of the race for that car. So if he keeps on doing that, he should be able to leapfrog the Nissan of Peter Dumbreck, who's still out on track.
And 11 seconds behind this man, Michael Bartels in the lead Maserati. Andrea Bertolini waiting to take over this championship winning pair that have taken on all comers and matched them and beaten them over the years. As past the start-finish line goes the Maserati behind the Ford GT. Bernoldi chasing down Romain Grosjean, and we look there at the Mad Croc Corvette trying to get to grips with a Lamborghini ahead of him.
Yeah, he's going to try and make a move on it now. They'll both be on the same sort of tyres, but that Corvette has been quicker than the Lamborghini this weekend on race pace. I think this car should be quicker. Thomas.
Now, is he going to make a move around the outside? He tried, you know, just to let that Lamborghini know he was there. Xavier Masson bearing down now on that car number 38 of Nicky Pastorelli. Now pulls out to the left-hand side, but Pastorelli is just a bit too far ahead, maybe 2 or 3 car lengths ahead, and there's no way through as they get into the stadium section and continue to drop downhill. It's quite a steep plummet downhill. While we watch that battle, just to tell you that the Sumo Power car, the car that was running in second place, that Nissan of Peter Dumbrek, has now come into the pits. And this battle ahead of Enrique Bernaldi and Romain Grosjean as we ride on board with Peter Dumbrek, stopping right now for his pit stop.
Right-hand drive car, one of the few cars that's right-hand drive in this series. And now it's a quick pit stop. The driver that's just got out, Peter Dumbrek, is helping driver that's just going in, Michael Crum, with the seat belts, just to try and speed things up. He'll also connect the radio because the driver in the car can't see where the radio is. Close the door, and now all the driver has to do, Michael Crum has to do, is wait for these 2 guys to finish changing the tyres.
Yep, scuba divers have done their job on the left-hand side. Now we need to change the right rear tyre. Tandem, teamwork, down onto the tyres it goes and away. Really neat pit stop, that. Really efficient. Drivers doing their job well, but the Aston has gone through, and however well they did at the pit stop, that Aston Martin with Thomas Enger, as you rightly pointed out, Alex Young, charging through the field, has got up ahead into second place by some margin. Yeah,
it's a really good stop. I mean, Enger's stop was a really good stop, and he's done a really good job, and he should finish up in second place still, although we still have Michael Bartels, who has yet to pit still.
I tell you what, it's a perfect way to make up for the disappointment of Silverstone this. Yes, they're being eclipsed by the Maserati, but the team that should have won that Tourist Trophy, but were excluded, of course, because of the excessive wear on one part of the plank underneath the Aston Martin car, bounding back onto the track here and on their way to picking up points in this championship race. Now, is that our race leader coming into the pits? I think it is. While we watch the Nissan and the Ford GT coming down the straights. Oh, and almost colliding with each other, the 2 Ford GTs. As they swing into that first turn, we stop with Michael Bartels getting out and making way for Andrea Bertolini.
Look how quickly they got out and into that car. These guys are used to doing this year after year. It's very slick, these 2 guys. And look how quick they are with the tyre changes as well. But this is going to be a quick stop and should comfortably keep him out in front.
As we look at Thomas Enger in that Aston Martin, running in second place pretty much in the race. Still 1 rear right tyre to be changed on the Maserati, and away it goes. Ooh, a bit of wheel spin as he makes his way out of the pits. And Thomas Enger a long way back, Alex, still not even into the final chicane.
But they are on the same straight, which is I think that Aston Martin has closed up the gap ever so slightly. Still very far away as you see the leader pull out in through turn 1. This is the second car in second place, the Aston Martin of Thomas Enger, local hero. I think they have closed up the gap a little bit, but no, it's too slick by the Maseratis. They are still way out in front.
What was it, about the length, I suppose, of the main straight between our race leader there, the Maserati, and Thomas Enger. Oh, it's here! The Mad Croc just charging past on the Ford GT, car number 12, Mika Salo, as we rightly thought, now making his way through the field and catching Rahel Frey, making a debut for the Ford GT, the Matek Ford GT team, just napping a little bit. The lady team has been a bit off the pace, but Mika Salo charging past him there with ease.
Yeah, that's the fight for 20th position. So Mika Salo still, streaking away from the Ford GT quite easily, and he'll be looking to see who's next on the list.
Romain Grosjean now has the number 11 Mad Croc in his sights. Xavier Masson in that Corvette, with Enrique Bernaldi behind in the Maserati. This is the battle for 5th and 6th, with the Maserati currently running in 7th place. Through the left-hander, down at turn 7, 70 miles an hour. And still dropping downhill in that stadium section. Grosjean just chomping at the bit and desperately trying to find a way past that Corvette.
Yeah, a couple of cars still to pit still.
Oh, going wide there, the Aston Martin Hexus, and Stefan Sarazan on board. Just a little nervy moment, having to get himself back on the straight and narrow. So, making sure that he kept on track. Very nice indeed. Let's hear from a man who did a sterling first stint on track. Peter Dumbreck is down in the pits with Haley.
Peter, you fought hard to hold on to your position in your stint there. You certainly had Darren on your tail throughout.
Sorry again.
You fought hard to hold on to your position in your stint then, and you were fighting Darren at your tail throughout.
Yeah. My good mate Darren was right behind me the whole way. He pitted 2 laps earlier, so I saw that it was basically a race against the bend and the tyre change. So I think we lost out. You know, we're still 3rd place, but the cars are very even between the Nissan and the Aston round here. The Maserati seems to have a little bit extra on us, so maybe we can fight back towards the end or tomorrow's race.
So noisy down in the pit lane. Haley having to shout there for Peter Dumbreck to hear her. The gap between 1st and 2nd, 6.2 seconds at the moment. And then the gap between Thomas Enger and Michael Crum is now 11 seconds. That pit stop and Thomas Enger's subsequent 2 laps really have cemented that Aston Martin team into 2nd place.
The battle for 5th and 6th is the one I want to watch at the moment, because that's hotting up quite a bit with Grosjean trying to get through onto car number 11, the Madcock Racing of Xavier Masson.
Yeah, we meanwhile focus a little bit further down the order, the battle for 11th and 12th, the Corvette in 11th and now on board with the Aston Martin Hexus in 10th place at the moment, Jonathan Hershey behind the Nissan.
Actually, it's a really good job by the 2nd sumo-powered car. It's actually up in 9th position right now, so they're trying to get past this sumo-powered car. But that Nissan started 21st and now is in 9th position, so great driving by Jamie Campbell-Walter, who's now handed over to Warren Hughes, who's now in the car.
Yeah, quite. Not going to make it into the points unless they hit the top 3, but of course the finishing order here sorts out the grid position for tomorrow's championship race, and you get points all the way down to 10th place for that. So everything is worth fighting for in the remaining 23.5 minutes.
Yeah, this Safan Sarazen, who's just did a first stint, he did a good job in the opening stint. But Campbell Walker actually stayed out quite long. He didn't come in early, so once the traffic had gone in, he stayed out longer and did a lot of good laps, which allowed them to leapfrog the others. But now Warren is in the car.
Yeah, and under pressure from the Aston Martin. Look how Jonathan Hershey is now throwing that Aston Martin through the final chicane, and down the main straight they come there. Little bit nervy, very twitchy, that Nissan car number 22 with Warren Hughes on board as they make their way down the main straight now, and under pressure maybe going into that first turn. He thought about it, didn't he, Jonathan Hershey? Thought about trying to get round on the inside, but the Nissan rightly closes the door and defends its line, but just looking a bit unstable.
Yeah, you can't really overtake it into turn 1 unless you really get alongside, because it's such a quick corner. But yeah, that Nissan doesn't look so good. It's just moving all over the place. And look, Warren's defending again into turn 3.
Warren Hughes was complaining of a lack of grip this morning in qualifying. Obviously, Jamie Campbell-Walter has learned to deal with it, but he shouldn't be suffering. You know, the tyres have only just been changed on that car. He shouldn't be suffering too much. As a driver, though, if you're stuck behind a man that's doing all that, you're thinking, right, come on, Christmas has come early, I'll have him.
The other thing, of course, is that the sumo-powered Nissan here will be on slightly colder tyres, so maybe it's just a case of the tyres warming up. Because they pitted towards the end, the others are on warm tyres and he's still on cold tyres. So it's got to be, the Aston's got to try and make a move now on the Nissan before the Nissan gets to the groove and tyres come up to temperature.
This is a great battle down the field. Nissan from Aston Martin from the Corvette as well, the Phoenix Corvette, and then the Lamborghini. But just to refresh your memory, our leader at the moment, Andrea Bertolini, 5.9 seconds ahead of Thomas Enger in the charging Aston Martin, and the gap is coming down. It was 5.9 seconds and has now been reduced by another tenth or so as well. Enger is finding time here over that Maserati, and I don't think that this race is settled just yet. Long way to go here.
Yeah, Enger did a 57.0. He has the fastest lap of the race so far. But I just get the feeling that Bertolini who's leading in that Maserati, is just kind of controlling the pace. He knows he can pull something else out if he wants to.
Still, Jonathan Hershey working away feverishly behind the steering wheel of that Aston Martin, and a little bit further away from the Nissan of Warren Hughes as they go down the main straight on this particular occasion. The gap is up to about 7/10 of a second.
Yeah, I think that Nissan is up to speed now.
Yeah.
He's pulled out a bit of a gap, so I think he's going to be gone now. I think he'll be moving further forward from this point onwards.
Maybe just suffering colder tyres by that later pit stop, and that was what was causing a lot of the twitchiness. Enrique Bernoldi's catching up on Romain Grosjean meanwhile.
Yeah, it's a good battle. This is the battle I want to see. It's a battle for 5th position between the Croc Chevrolet, Ford GT, Maserati, and the Aston Martin following in behind. It's great to see all these different models, just different brands, just battling it out.
So it's Maserati from Aston Martin, from Nissan, from Lamborghini, Corvette and Ford GT. How about that for a nice spread amongst the top 6?
Yep, 6 different manufacturers in the top 6. Great to see. It's great for the racing, it's great for the championship.
Yeah, I'm loving this series. I have to admit, first taste of GT racing, and it certainly is not disappointing here in Brno this weekend. First taste of the Czech Republic as well. I mean, I know you love it here, you've won here before, Alex, but it's a cracking country, and it's a super little track as well.
It is. Yeah, I think I might be biased, but yeah, I always enjoy coming back here.
Don't be biased. Aren't you one of the only guys to do a double header in A1 GP?
Yeah, one of the few. It was a really good weekend for us, but that's in the past, and this is now GT racing at its best.
As they watch on from the garage and down at Maserati, they're not chewing the fingernails just yet, but there are some vital championship points coming their way, and points that might just take this Vodafone Racing team into the lead in the team's championship as well. There was only 7 points in it at the start of this race, but of course 8 points, 6 points and 4 points for the first, second and third by the time we finish the first hour of racing proper this weekend.
Yeah. Grosjean in the Ford GT was getting a lot closer to the... There he is, getting closer again, but he just seems to be on the straights that the Corvette is just a little bit quicker down the straights. Ooh, Grosjean's really close here. He might have a go into turn 5.
Yeah, you're right. He might just do that, under braking. Who brakes last? Who's got the daring do, as it were, on this occasion? Both braking pretty much at the same point there, and Grosjean just keeping his place behind that Corvette. Driven superbly well, by the way, by Xavier Masson at the moment. He's really holding off Grosjean well.
Yeah, I think Grosjean's going to have to count that. He keeps the pressure up, try and get that Corvette to keep pushing, to use those tyres, abuse those tyres. So hopefully that Corvette will make a mistake soon, which will allow the Ford GT to have a stab at it.
And another half a second, by the way, Thomas Enger has found on lap 20 out of the leader's advantage. Enger closing 5.4 seconds down as we go back to this battle for 5th and 6th place. The Corvette against the Ford GT, with Enrique Bernoldi and the Maserati just waiting and hoping for a mistake. And behind him, Stefan Mucker in the Stefan Mucker in the Aston Martin. There you can see that's gaining as well on that Maserati, has been gaining for the last 3 laps.
Yeah, this Corvette obviously is a front-engine car, and Croc Racing was talking about this front left-hand tyre, because you come through this last corner, and you know, Croc's got such a big weight distribution onto the front axle.
Apologies, Freddie Makovic in the Aston Martin, and now we can see him closing, and I wonder, he might just pull out to the right-hand side here, have a go at Bernoldi. No, goes down to the left-hand side, trying to go around the outside. Great defending from Bernoldi, who kept us waiting, kept us guessing as to whether he would go left or he would go right to defend his line, and stayed dead straight down that straight and made sure the Aston couldn't get past.
Yeah. That's, but Aston's quick in the straight line. Oh, look at this, one of the Astons.
Yep, this is the young driver Aston, car number 8, the second one of Stefan Mucker, getting behind the Phoenix Corvettes.
Of Stefan Rossini.
Yeah.
Rossina.
Well, look how the Aston's been gaining on that Corvette over the course of the last 3 laps.
Yeah, and this is the fight for the battle, 12th and 13th, and he's... Whoa! I think he locked up the rears a bit under braking then, decided to have a stab, but managed to pull out of it just in time.
Only a matter of time before the Aston gets past the Corvette here. Such has been the speed and time difference over the course of the past 3 laps as they drop down into the right-hander now at turn 5.
Yeah, you're circulating right now, second lap quicker than the Corvette. So you would think that a second lap quicker is a big enough advantage for the Aston to get past that Corvette at some point.
And at the top, the Maserati from the Aston Martin, 5.4 seconds, the advantage that Bertolini has over Thomas Enger. Then comes Michael Crum for Nissan, running in 3rd place at the moment. and it's Nicky Pastorelli in the Lamborghini. That's your top four. Here, though, Romain Grosjean, currently in 6th place, hunting down that Corvette of Xavier Masson and trying to get 5th. But the Aston Martin's got past the Corvette, as we predicted that it would. And in the end, it was quite easy for Stefan Mucker, and away he can go. And up he goes now, Stefan Mucker, into... Just looking at what place he goes into, 9th place, I think.
And here's this battle for 5th place. Corvette followed by the Ford, Maserati, and then the Aston Martin.
Grosjean having a look, and behind Enrique Bernoldi, that's the Aston Martin having a bit of a look there as well. Freddie Makoviecki all having a look, but nobody can force their way past.
Well, this is the problem with Brno. You know, we only have about medium-length straights here. Don't have a real long straight for a driver to get a toe up onto. So, you know, qualifying is so important, but it will be possible. I think the guys with quicker cars like Grosjean or even Bernoldi, they have to be patient. I think Grosjean especially knows that he's got the pace on the Corvette, so he just needs to keep the pressure up. And towards the end of this race, when the tyres are a bit more used, because that Corvette's definitely using those tyres harder, Grosjean probably has a better chance of getting by.
Grosjean almost nudging that Corvette as they reach the stadium sector here, and there's only, what, 1.5 meters in it as they take that left-hand hairpin at 70 miles an hour. Now going up a gear before they swing left-handed into turn 8, and there's a very sharp then turn to turn 9, right-hander, and they can go up a couple more gears. 155 miles an hour, golf course on their right-hand side, which is not the quietest place to play your golf when the GT cars are in town. They've got the rasping Ford GT noise and the even deeper rasping Corvette as they go past the fairway at 155 miles an hour. Meanwhile, behind that, car number 9 running in 8th place, Frederic Makoviecki, desperately trying to get past Enrique Bernoldi, who is just holding his station and neither moving forward nor moving backwards enough for Makoviecki to get past.
Yeah, a little bit of sideways action there coming out of that chicane as the Ford has another look. See, this must be so frustrating for Grosjean because he knows he's got the pace, but just doesn't have the speed down the straight to take the Corvette as it's so
I tell you what,
close.
he's going to get a toe now though, down this main straight. Grosjean is absolutely slap bang 2 meters behind that Corvette in front. Can he move over to the left-hand side and try and do him down the inside? No, he can't. Just hasn't quite got the speed, nor has the Aston Martin got the speed to get past the Maserati in the battle for 7th and 8th.
This is great racing. This is great GT racing, and I got a feeling it's going to go all the way to the flag.
So, who's going to make the bold move? Who's going to just make the bid for glory? They're not racing for points here. They're racing really for grid positions come tomorrow's championship race.
Oh, I think Grosjean's going to get a run at him.
Oh, and here we have car number, what's that? Car number 33, I think, the Triple H Team Hager Sport Maserati of Alfred Hager. Yes, it is, moving himself up into 14th place. Past Stefan Racina in the Corvette. How Romain Grosjean wishes he could do that at the end of the next lap.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But you can see the Corvette is taking slightly different lines here. It's trying to straight line the exit out of the corner a bit. It's got very slow minimum cornering speeds. The Ford's much quicker through the corners. It's just not quick enough down the straight. It's about being quick. And if you want to overtake someone, you've got to be quick down the straight.
Ain't that the truth? So less than 12 minutes to go here. We've had 23 laps, and our race leader, who might just have been controlling things to suit himself, Andrea Bertolini, 6.5 seconds clear of Thomas Enger in the Aston Martin. The Aston was closing down that gap for 3 or 4 laps, but now is 6.8 seconds as he passes our commentary box to go over the start-finish line. Yeah. Comfortably, though, in that 2nd place. Nissan another 10 seconds down.
Yeah, he's just maintaining that gap. He's just looking at the split times and just putting out a fast lap every once in a while to make sure that Aston doesn't close. Is Ford's close enough? No, and the Aston's definitely not close enough to have a look.
There's the 4 cars, the Corvette, the Ford, the Maserati and the Aston Martin going round that first turn. Beautifully set up for the bikes, the MotoGP that comes, of course, here to Brno, which means the curbs are very flat as well, and you can take an awful lot of curb if you want. It is a bike track, isn't it, this one?
Yeah, and as a bike track, there's always a little bit of gradient bit of camber through the corners, which means you know, allows you to carry a bit more speed. Now it's getting towards the end of the race. You have to watch out for going offline, because it's very dirty offline now. And actually, it works out a bit better to start turning into the corners a little bit earlier, because that's where the grip is, because you can't quite take this normal line. And if you just get it slightly wrong, it's so dirty offline, you'll be on the grass and in the gravel very, very quickly.
Now, have you noticed here that Enrico Bernoldi in that Maserati, the Vitaphone Maserati, just closing the gap slightly, and the last couple of laps by 3.5 tenths of a second, so pressurising Romain Grosjean and trying to force a mistake. I wonder if Bernoldi, the wily old fox here, has just thought to himself, I'll let Grosjean do his thing, and then I'll just pick up the pieces when he uses his tyres just a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's really tricky. What do you do at this point? You know, you want to make that other place. You know, these guys are race car drivers. They don't want to stop. If there's a chance to overtake, they're going to take it. But at the same time, you have to think about the race tomorrow, because this is just a qualifying race for tomorrow. And let's swap to the pit lane with Haley again.
And there's over a 6-second gap between the Aston and the Maserati. Is it likely that Thomas can close that?
No, I don't think so. I think the Maserati this weekend at this circuit's got a great sort of speed with them all the time in practice, qualifying, and now in the race. I think the main thing now is just to Thomas to ease off, make sure the Nissan doesn't catch up, and we'll be happy after what happened at Silverstone. We'll be happy with the points just to collect second and hopefully be in a good position for tomorrow's race.
How's the plank been on the car?
Sorry.
How's the new plank been on the car?
That's fine. I mean, this circuit's a lot different from Silverstone. It hasn't really got the same bumps, so we actually haven't been touching at all. So, all in all, it's been very good.
And just as Darren Turner says that Thomas Engen needs to ease off and consolidate second place, so he eases off by about a second on lap 24, which means that there's only now an 8-second advantage between himself and the Nissan that's chasing in third place.
Yeah, and Thomas Engen and Darren Turner in that Aston Martin must think they've got a good chance for the championship, and it must be so gutting for them to be the form team, the form car at the last race, and to still have 0 points in the championship. So he's quite rightly thinking about the championship. They will pick up 6 points for this race if they finish second, and at least it gets them off the board and into the championship hunt.
And looking at the start that they made as well, Alex, it gets them onto the front row, and if he can get that Maserati at the start, well, on a track that's difficult to overtake, who knows, there might be 25 championship points coming their way round about this time tomorrow.
Yeah, and actually from a neutral's point of view, I kind of do hope they do get the jump on the Maserati tomorrow, if they finish in these positions now, because it'll make for an entertaining race, because they'll be cracking to watch the Maserati try and get past the Aston Martin.
I mean, Marco Bartel's got off to a decent start here in the lead Maserati, but we saw the Nissan and the Aston Martin pressure the number 2 Maserati car and come through really well. It was an excellent start, and that's why Enrico Bernoldi, who wasn't the man who started the number 2 Maserati car, it's Miguel Ramos, now finds himself, of course, down the field a bit in 7th place, but it will be Bernoldi, of course, who starts the race tomorrow. Maybe he's got a bit more experience about him. Back then we go to this Corvette Ford GT Maserati Aston Martin battle for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. I wonder who they're cheering on.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
Yes, okay, I'll let you on. 7 minutes and 15 seconds to go. You're watching the racing cars instead?
Yeah, okay, back to the race cars. This is still a great battle, you know, but looks like the Corvette looks a bit more comfortable in front of that Ford GT. Maybe he's got the measure of him now, and maybe the Ford GT's just used its tyres up just a bit too much and trying to get by.
Corvette 5th, Ford GT in 6th, and yeah, look, Ford GT just dropping off over the last 3 laps, but on this lap it seems that Romain Grosjean's just getting it together again, maybe conserving his tyres and then waiting for another push, try and catch that Corvette off guard just a little bit.
Yeah, it's quite a good strategy sometimes when you're trying to overtake someone, to kind of hang back for a couple laps and then push again, because as we watch this battle between the other 2 Ford GTs going into turn 1,
identical car, different drivers, and they couldn't quite squeeze past car number 41, driven on this stint by Marcus Paltala. Baz Linders just holding station a bit, and we haven't had the rain, so I haven't had the chance to see this car in the wet once again, but it was sensational in pre-qualifying in the wet on Friday.
Yeah. And back to that battle for 5th place, just saying sometimes it's better to hang back a bit for a couple laps and then push again, because when you follow someone too closely, you kind of fall into their rhythm of driving, which is not the correct thing, because then you end up just going as quick as him. So you need to fall back a bit and then push hard again, so you find your limits again, so that when you get back up to the boot lid of the car in front, you can try and make a move.
So this is the battle down in 18th and 19th place for those two Ford GTs at the moment, the Mark VDS Racing team. Meanwhile, there's another Ford GT working twice as hard, 3 times as hard to try and get past that Corvette, and the gap 0.4 of a second, 4.5 tenths the difference between that Corvette and the Ford GT. And that Aston's having a look on the Maserati once again, and Enrique Bernoli's just got to be a little watchful of his rear view mirror, of his wing mirror on the side of that Maserati, because the Aston's still there and he's still just lurking and trying to take advantage of any slight slip up by that Vitaphone Maserati.
That Maserati would be quite disappointed with this performance. I mean, there they are back in 7th position. Really, they were comfortably second quickest car in qualifying, and really they will feel this is a missed opportunity to have finished second today, really.
I don't even think they can complain too much about being on the dirty side of the track as well, you know, rolling starts, and the racing line, you know, is well, there's a fair amount of rubber down that main straight that's been laid down during the course of today's racing, so he would have had the grip. He just got completely outdone. There's a little bit of a wobbly moment there for Freddie McAvicky. He just got done by the Nissan and the Aston Martin, just made blinding starts.
Ooh, a lot of understeer through turn 9, that is, and you do have understeer through that corner because the track falls away, and you can see how steeply they go downhill at this point into turn 10, and that Ford's looking a bit closer again.
He's tempting, isn't he, Romain Grosjean? He's tempting us to say, look, stick with us here, I'm going to try and get past, but Xavier Massey just holds on once again. Xavier Masson in the Corvette now, though, might be under pressure going up the hill, and in the slipstream that Ford GT isn't too far away, now pulls out, thinks about the inside of the chicane, but no, you're not going to get past there, not with the Corvette holding his station and doing very nicely indeed. Now through the chicane, and can Romain Grosjean just nudge his way past here, down the main straight? We've been waiting to see an overtaking chance now for round about 10 laps. Grosjean just seems to be too far, in a straight line speed. That Corvette just pulls away enough so that Grosjean can't try and force his way in through the hairpin.
Yeah, he was right up his booted
backside, yes, you can say it.
I can say it, can I?
Yeah.
He's right up his backside, but just down the straight, just loses a bit to that Corvette. It's very frustrating, you know you can try. I got a feeling Romain's going to try a do or die move just before the end of this race.
It could be hero or it could be zero for Romain Grosjean. Toss a coin as to where your money would be on that particular one, but he has given it as much as I think he possibly can in that Ford GT. But you have to say, with a straight line speed advantage, even with that, Xavier Masson has driven a super race here to hold Grosjean off.
Yes, he has. He's driven very, very well. As Warren Hughes in that Nissan is coming under pressure from the other Aston Martin, the car number 10 of Jonathan Hershey. And Jonathan's going to be thinking he's got a chance here, you know. Maybe that Nissan's looking a bit unsafe again. Yeah,
but Warren Hughes, though, and Jamie Campbell-Walter, as you earlier mentioned, starting 21st on the grid, now running in 9th place. It's been a pretty impressive performance by the Sumo Power Nissan here, as we watch him being pressurised by the Aston Martin. And right behind the Aston Martin is Matteo Bobbi in the Triple H Team Hager Sport Maserati.
Yeah, let's not forget that car's carrying 40 kilograms of ballast, and that's about 0.9 of a second handicap per lap. But more importantly, that extra ballast will also mean that you're wearing those tires out more, and that's what I think we're seeing right now. You know, Warren was able to pull away a little bit after the pit stops once his tires are up to temperature, but now he's coming to the end of the stint. That car's just moving around all over the place. You can see it moving in front of that Aston, and I think that extra 40 kilograms is just killing his tires.
They're not on the final lap. These guys aren't on the final lap either. Our race leader is. So one more lap for Romain Grosjean to get past. He goes into turn 1 now. Is he trying the do or die? Well, if he was, it just wasn't enough and the Corvette stays ahead once more, and it's so frustrating because round the corner, that Ford GT is sensational. Will it lose out though down this straight before he can get a little chance into the left-hander as they go now in towards turn 3? Grosjean just too far away. He's about 3 feet behind, and by the end of that straight, he's about 2 meters behind.
Yeah, he's close enough here though now. If he can just get on the power earlier, slightly earlier, he might have a go into turn 5 at the bottom of this straight.
Let's see as the cars then dip down the hill and disappear out of view and come into the stadium sector. That's one of the back markers. That's the Ford GT, that's the lady team of Frey and Alleman. Now we pick up this battle as Grosjean almost shunting the Corvette in that Ford GT down the hill. Enrique Bernoldi right behind them as well. Our race leader comfortably ahead by 6.5 seconds is Andrea Bertolini and Michael Bartels, but this, the closest battle on the track at the moment. Thomas Enger in 2nd place, Michael Crum in 3rd place. This, the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th, and it is going to go all the way down to the line, which is fast approaching our race leader now, Andrea Bertolini, who has seen his advantage just being trimmed down after the pit stops, but never any danger that this Maserati wasn't going to win here today. It takes the checkered flag, and the qualifying race is won for Maserati by Bertolini and Bartels. Great drive, and flashing his lights, Thomas Enger to his home fans to come home 2nd, and the points are completed with Michael Crum and that sumo-powered Nissan. Meanwhile, just racing for places, Grosjean trying in the left-hander just to get past the Corvette, can't do it. And it is going to be Xavier Masson who just manages to hold on, but Bernoldi really close to that Ford GT. And had the line been another 50 yards down the track, would Bernoldi have got past Grosjean there? What a thrilling climax to that battle. Yeah, the Ford GT of Grosjean just trying to go down the inside through that last corner, but just pulled out of it at the very last minute, which was probably a sensible thing because there would have been contact, which allowed Bernoldi in the Maserati to run on him to the start-finish line, and fortunately the Ford GT was able to hold on to 6th position just. Fabulous stuff. Darren Turner hopping off the pit wall. He'll go and slap Thomas Enger on the back because Enger's laps before the Nissan pit stop. Oh, talking of Nissans, car number 22 that we thought might be a bit trouble, Warren Hughes, hasn't seen the checkered flag. And was it tyre wear or something else that caused that car to come off the road and into the tyre barrier? But he's not going to see the checkered flag, and that's a huge shame after one of the drives of the race. Devastating. We don't know what's happened here, but he was in 8th position, which is a fantastic performance from 21st on the grid, and on the last lap he's in the gravel. Well, we'll find out, and Haley down in the pit lane will get the information for us, I'm sure, in a few moments' time. And if she goes anywhere near the Vitaphone racing team for Maserati, she might just get drenched in champagne because they've taken the points here, the 8 points for this championship race, and they will move ahead of the Phoenix Racing Corvette team in the team standings here. Many more points to play for tomorrow. Maserati on this track though looking really good. Enrique Bernoldi should have been there for a 1-2, but the start cost Bernoldi's teammate Miguel Ramos dear. Yeah, I can't wait for the start of tomorrow's race to see what happens. You know, that Aston Martin's on the front row next to that Maserati, and we know that Aston's quick in a straight line. If he has the same start as he had today, he's going to probably take that number 1 Maserati into that first corner, which will set up a cracking race. So, Andrea Bertolini gets the waves and a picture or two from the marshals who have been on duty come rain or shine, and there's been plenty of both today, and fully deserve the chance to take their pictures as the cars make their way back down into the pit lane. See, it's great to have the lights on the front so you can just flash everyone to let them know that the winner is coming their way, and start your celebrations before you manage to get out of the car. Thomas Enger coming 2nd in that Aston Martin, started 3rd on the grid with Darren Turner. They can be really pleased, I think, the Aston Martin team with their work, and there's Thomas Enger waving to the crowd as you would expect him to do in his home race. Yeah, he'll be very happy with that. He is loved in this country. This country, he's Czech Republic's first and only Formula 1 driver, and he's always been an extremely quick driver. Absolutely. 33 years of age from Liberec in the Czech Republic. Raced for Prost, didn't he, in 2001? Yeah. Thomas Enger. His first race was my first race in Formula 1 as well. Was it really? Yeah. Did he beat you?
No.
Good. I'm glad I asked the question then. Into the #1 spot in that Maserati comes Andrea Bertolini, and I'm sure his teammate Michael Bartels will be down to give him a big hug and a pat on the back very shortly, and a raise of his fist in triumph there from our winner.
They can be very pleased with the job they've done this weekend. You know, so controlled, just did the pace when they needed to do, didn't make any mistakes, and set themselves up very well for tomorrow.
Yeah, they look the part, don't they? They really do look the part, that Vodafone Racing Team Maserati. But Turner and Enger looking the part too in the Aston Martin. And after their disappointment at Silverstone, you know, when a race victory was taken away from them, not through the driver's fault, but by just an infringement of the regulations, you know, a good solid second place here is exactly what they needed. The Sumo Power Nissan team started third on the grid, started on the front row alongside that Aston Martin, and Michael Crum losing out in the pit stops, really, and losing out with some flying laps from Thomas Enger. But he and Peter Dunbrick bringing home the points as well. The 4 points for finishing